We're at the CART Teach event with the event chair, Jim Jaffe. Jim, what is T.E.A.C.H?
Well, T.E.A.C.H stands for Teen Education for Advanced Car Handling. The general idea of it is to give teenagers, young drivers, and drivers that aren't that experienced an opportunity in a safe environment to practice skills that they might not get to practice in other situations. Basically, to recognize lack of control or a problem before it actually becomes a problem for them. Knowledge of being able to read the surface, read the turns, understand the impact that a change of wetness or dryness can have, or temperatures. So the program involves many different facets and many different conditions. The students will go through a situation where they think they have things figured out and things get moved just a little bit and it has a great impact. They're dealing with very low speeds, maybe 15, 20 miles an hour, but it shows them that things feel like they can happen quite quickly at that. Then the conditions may change as though it rained and it's something that they have just done, that they're just familiar with, and they just understand how they did it. Now the car feels completely different. The side benefit too of the water is that it cools the pavement down, and tires act differently with that. Once students start to feel as though they've gotten comfortable with that, then they might have to deal with changing courses and moving obstacles. Again, it's all about understanding the way things can happen so they can recognize them before they do happen, so that when they get out on the street and they're driving on the street, when we're not just talking about rubber cones, that it can be handled appropriately and safely before it becomes a problem. We really don't want their first encounter with a lack of vehicle control to be their last encounter with vehicle control.
And I can tell by the sound behind me, Jim, we use all sorts of different vehicles.
The program is built around the idea that these kids need to learn in the vehicles that they drive. Okay, there's a lot of benefit to that. Number one, they get to see the other vehicles go, and they get to see the performance / the highs and lows or abilities and inabilities of certain things. It gets rid of that false sense of safety that maybe bigness gives you or height gives you. At the same time, we do a blind spot drill with a tractor trailer so that people can understand that when you're driving, you need to be able to be seen the same way you need to be paying attention. So you need to place your vehicle in a way that you can be seen by the drivers around you. With teenagers especially, you have a situation where you may have groups of teenagers following each other places. It can be very dangerous for the person in the lead, maybe starts to play around and someone doesn't recognize that it's not what their vehicle's made to do. We don't want the kids playing, we don't want them racing. What we want them to do is to understand that it's not just a matter of, okay, I put my seatbelt on and I drove the speed limit and that means I'm safe. They need to be able to see the signals.
So this is really not a racing school, this is more of a car control and experience.
Yeah, it's not about racing at all. The students are encouraged to push their vehicles on the course so that they can feel the limit. We want them to feel what it feels like when the ABS kicks in. We want them to feel what understeer is. We want them to feel what oversteer is. We want them to understand the effects that braking has on your ability to turn and what happens when you start to plow. We're not trying to teach them to go fast, just the opposite. We're trying to show them that you don't have to be going fast to have a control issue, and that stomping on the brakes is not necessarily the best course of action. As one of the instructors says here, your natural tendency is almost always wrong. This is something that you learn. You learn by practicing, and this gives the kids an opportunity to practice that.
Sounds like a great plan, great program, and thanks for the time, Jim.
Anytime.